show you the process of making a plastic sheet. So first up, I go in here and I'll grab some plastic, and then I need to cut this up to be smaller pieces. So for this, I use tin snips. You can use normal scissors, but I find that I can get through a couple layers at a time with the tin snips. And then I'm just cutting up milk bottles that I've collected over the past couple of months. So once I have lots of pieces like this, then I'll move over to the blender and put some in. That's about right. So you want it to be enough that the weight of the pieces on top of it is enough to push the base pieces into the blade, but not so much that it just like doesn't churn around and have enough air to like get the small pieces up to the top and then the bigger pieces down to the bottom. If there's too much, then it'll just all like the big pieces will just stay at the top and the middle pieces will just blend. I could probably put even a little bit more in. So you can see now that the volume of this has significantly decreased from about the 750ml line now down to pretty much the 250ml line. So a lot of plastic doesn't really go a long way, especially because what I'm making is much thicker than the original milk bottle. So I do have to do this quite a few times to get enough plastic to make a sheet. So something that I forgot to mention, my blender's still going in the background, sorry about that, is before I even cut up any plastic at all, I have to collect, wash, and then remove the labels. All right, so once I've got a bunch of that, I come over to outside where I have my panini presses. And then I'm gonna decide what color I want to make. So I have a couple of different options. These are like basically bottle tops or specific colored bottles that I've blended to in their colors. And then these are my like weird ones. This one I cut up with scissors before I bought the blender, and that's like a blue mix. And then this is quite interesting. This is when I use the table saw, and then I catch all the like sawdust, but like it's not sawdust, it's plastic, out of the extrusion or out of the like exhaust, I don't know what it's called. And it's this super fine mix of the blue and the yellow that I've already cut up. So I've been sprinkling some of that in. It's got a really different look because there's like a bit of white in there as well. Yeah. So then I'll have a look at like whatever it is that I'm currently on. I'll just use my hand to, you need to like cool down essentially one of the barbecue mats. And then I can peel it off and it won't stick. And as you can see, this is one that I've been working on. I tried to put texture in it. I don't know if you can see that. And it didn't really work. So I'm melting it back. So that one's really nearly ready to go into the clamp. So I'll put my barbecue mat back. And then this one I actually just put into the clamp. The clamp is over here. And basically, so that the pieces don't warp, I put them in between two pieces of relatively thick plywood, clamped on all sides, and then I put some clay on top, and then there's also air down the bottom. So essentially it needs to cool completely in this setup, which takes about like half an hour, maybe slightly less, and then the whole process starts again. Okay, so once everything's out of the clamp, I get these sheets. So this is the one that was in the press in the video. I don't love it. It looks a bit muddled to me, and I left it in for too long, so it actually has like a brown kind of, I guess it's burnt, I don't really know. If I leave it in too long though, it does, one of the plastics goes brown. So that's not ideal, but it's okay. The other thing that I didn't mention in the video is that the texture of the barbecue mat actually determines the texture of the sheet. So this one I have like a fabric texture. You can kind of hear it's got kind of a rough surface. I don't know if you can see, there's like tiny little fibers that have imprinted onto the surface. I think the clamping helps with that as well. And then for instance on this one, it's a smooth barbecue mat, so it's a totally different kind of feeling really. This one looks more liquid or something, you know. So I do like this smoother texture better just because I feel like the mat, although it's a very satisfying texture for me to touch, I think it has an implication. I think this is like my art school stuff coming through, but you know, it's kind of an unintended and an implied surface that doesn't, I don't really want to read in the final object. I think this is confused, whereas this is more clear. Let's say it like that. The other thing I started doing since I filmed that, you can see there's like a kind of a squishing effect. So what I've been doing to get all the air bubbles out and to avoid holes, as you can see, like some of these do have holes in them, is I've been stomping on the sheets when they come out before they go into the clamp. I like stomp on them maybe 2 or 3 times. I like put them in the heat, stomp on them, put them in the heat. That gets them much thinner, which is like better because less plastic goes a long way further away. You can see, like, in comparison, this is like a chunky guy compared to the, maybe you can't tell, but in terms of weight, like this is much heavier. So that's my new technique. I stomp and then I clamp, and yeah, that means much less holes, which is good.